There comes a point in life where the most liberating move you can make is to detach not with anger, not with bitterness, but with pure, unstoppable self-respect. Emotional detachment is not about pretending you don't care. It's about deciding that your peace, your happiness, your mental clarity are far too valuable to be left at the mercy of someone else's inconsistent presence or unpredictable affection. When you master emotional detachment, you don't need to scream, argue, post on social media, or try to get even. You simply withdraw your energy like a wave pulling back into the vast, endless ocean. You don't announce your absence. You don't advertise your healing. You become a mystery, and in that mystery you reclaim your life. People tend to chase what they feel slipping away. It's human nature. The very moment someone senses that your emotions are no longer anchored to them, a magnetic pull begins. But the secret is you cannot fake detachment. You cannot pretend for a few days and then check your phone obsessively hoping for a text. You cannot say you've moved on while secretly hoping he's watching your every move. Real detachment comes from within. It comes when you finally realize you were never created to beg for love, approval, or validation. It comes when you realize that your worth was established long before he ever noticed you, and it remains intact long after he forgets you. Emotional detachment is a spiritual power. It doesn't mean you become cold, hard, or cynical. It means you understand that attachment to something that wounds you is like drinking poison, hoping it will heal you. When you stop making him the center of your emotional world, you start to notice how much space he occupied in your mind rent-free. You start to notice how often you interrupted your own peace, your own plans, your own dreams just to accommodate his indecision, his mixed signals, his temporary affection. The chains break not with dramatic outbursts, but with silent, steady choices. Choices like choosing not to check his social media. Choices like going out and living your best life without the need to document it for his attention. Choices like taking yourself seriously enough to recognize that you don't chase anyone. You are the prize. You are the home, not the wanderer searching for shelter. Detaching emotionally means refusing to give someone the weapon to destroy your joy. It is realizing that you hold the keys to your mind, your heart, your future. Nobody else. Emotional detachment is not built overnight. It's built in small moments when you feel the urge to reach out and you don't. When you want to explain yourself and you stay silent. When you catch yourself reminiscing and you redirect your thoughts to your future. Every small decision to pull your energy back is a brick laid on the foundation of your self-worth. Most people live reacting to the emotions others provoke in them. They are puppets tied to strings they don't even realize exist. The one who learns to sever those invisible threads becomes unstoppable. You are no longer tossed and turned by the storms others bring into your life. You are the calm in the storm. You are the master of your destiny. And here is a truth few will ever tell you once you truly detach emotionally. You will not even need revenge, validation, or an apology. His regret will come not because you tried to make him regret, but because he will feel the cold absence of your energy where once there was unconditional giving, patience, and warmth. Energy never lies. People may pretend they don't notice your absence, but deep inside they do. It rattles them. It shakes them awake. It forces them to face what they lost, often too late. The real beauty of emotional detachment is that it makes you magnetic. When you no longer seek, you attract. When you no longer beg, you receive. When you no longer cling, you elevate. You are not here to chase anyone into seeing your value. Your absence will scream what your words could never explain. Your silence will echo louder than your arguments. Emotional detachment is the quiet revolution that changes everything. And while he scrambles to figure out why he feels so lost, so empty, so regretful, You will be too busy building an empire inside of yourself to even notice. The tables always turn when you least expect it, but they turn fastest for those who choose detachment over drama, dignity over desperation, peace over chaos. Emotional detachment is not giving up, it's waking up. It's seeing clearly. It's rising above the emotional games and stepping into a life that operates at a higher frequency. Silence is one of the most powerful languages on earth, yet so few people are fluent in it. There is a reason why silence terrifies those who once took your presence for granted. When you stop explaining, when you stop arguing, when you stop justifying your worth, you shift the entire energy dynamic between you and the one who thought they could treat you as optional. Words are cheap. Explanations are often wasted on those who have already made up their mind to misunderstand you. Silence, however, leaves them with their own thoughts, and there is no prison more uncomfortable than being trapped alone with your conscience after losing someone who once gave you everything without hesitation. The moment you choose silence over reaction, you show maturity that many will never understand. You don't need to announce that you're moving on. You don't need to throw hints, post subliminal messages, or seek pity from anyone. You simply vanish from the emotional battlefield, and in that vanishing act, you regain every ounce of power you once handed away. Most people fear silence because it forces them to face what they tried to escape. When you remain silent, you hold a mirror up to his soul. He sees himself for who he is, not through the lens of your forgiving eyes, but through the cold reflection of reality. Silence has a way of haunting those who expected a reaction. They expect anger. They expect desperation. They expect you to reach out to check on them, to fight for what you once valued so deeply. But when you respond with nothing, no texts, no calls, no emotional displays, you leave a void so deep that it becomes impossible to ignore. Human nature is addicted to patterns. When the pattern of your love, your attention, your patience is abruptly removed without explanation, the mind becomes obsessed with the absence. It replays moments, overthinks conversations, imagines scenarios. Silence drives the mind to madness, especially for someone who thought they could always return whenever it was convenient. When you argue, you are still engaged. When you explain, you are still attached. But when you go silent, you disconnect. And true disconnection is what makes the biggest impact. He may have felt secure when you were always available, always forgiving, always reaching out first. But when the texts stop coming, when the phone stops ringing, when the notifications disappear and your name stops showing up in his life, he feels the loss in a way no words could ever articulate. Silence does what speeches cannot. It speaks straight to the soul, bypassing ego and defenses. It is not silence born from weakness, but from wisdom. It is the silence of a person who knows that energy is too precious to be wasted explaining to someone who never valued it in the first place. You see, attention is a currency more valuable than money. When you stop spending it on someone who doesn't reciprocate, you force them to realize what they have lost. And by the time they come to that realization, you have already built a new life so full, so vibrant, so independent, that their regret becomes a silent burden they have to carry alone. Silence doesn't just show that you are over the situation, it shows that you have risen above it. It is a declaration that you are no longer available for games, for disrespect, for partial love that demands everything while offering nothing substantial in return. There is a certain dignity that only silence can offer. When you refuse to lower yourself into the mud pit of arguments, when you choose not to plead for decency that should have been freely given, you elevate yourself onto a level where real power exists. Silence isn't passive, it's active. It's a decision to prioritize your own peace above the need to be understood by those incapable of understanding. And while he may try to fill the silence with distractions, with temporary replacements, with noise and chaos, none of it will satisfy him the way your steady, unwavering presence once did. The absence of your voice will echo louder in his mind than the loudest argument you could have thrown at him. Silence forces accountability. When you no longer feed someone's ego with your reactions, they are left to deal with the uncomfortable truth of their actions. They have no scapegoat, no one to blame, no narrative to twist. All that remains is the empty space where your warmth once resided, and that space haunts them. It's a slow, creeping realization that maybe, just maybe, they underestimated the value of what they had. And that realization comes not because you told them, not because you shamed them, but because you mastered the art of saying everything by saying absolutely nothing at all. Selfrespect is not something you beg for, negotiate, or barter with. It is the silent shield you carry every single day, the invisible crown you wear whether anyone notices or not. When you decide to elevate your standards, you are not punishing anyone, you are simply refusing to participate in anything that diminishes your worth. It's not about arrogance. It's not about being difficult. It's about knowing that love, loyalty, and respect are the minimum requirements for anyone to sit at the table of your life. When you hold yourself to a higher standard, you stop feeling guilty for walking away from anyone who cannot meet it. Raising your standards isn't about seeking perfection in others. It's about refusing to be an option, a convenience, or an afterthought. It's about recognizing that the way someone treats you is a reflection of how they truly see you. No more interpreting mixed signals. No more justifying disrespect. No more tolerating bare minimum efforts dressed up as love. When you raise your standards, you set a frequency that either attracts those who are serious or repels those who are not. And understand this: repelling the wrong ones is just as important, if not more, than attracting the right ones. Because every second wasted on someone who cannot rise to meet you is a second stolen from the one who would. When you move in a spirit of self-respect, you stop arguing about your value. You stop explaining why you deserve effort, time, commitment, and consistency. You stop accepting crumbs hoping they will one day become a feast. You realize that the person who truly sees your worth will not have to be convinced to act accordingly. Their actions will speak so loudly that you won't have to question their intentions. You won't have to analyze their every word, wonder where you stand, or fight for their attention. You will know because real respect shows itself without needing to be begged for. The greatest shift happens when you finally understand that you are not obligated to make anyone comfortable at the expense of your dignity. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to demand better. You are allowed to walk away without apology from anything that leaves you feeling confused, small, or unseen. Elevating your standards sends a clear message not only to others, but to yourself. I am valuable. I am deserving. I am enough. Not because someone else says so, but because I say so. It is easy to lower your standards out of loneliness, out of fear, out of desperation. But what you settle for today becomes the limits of your tomorrow. Every time you tolerate less than you deserve, you teach yourself that this is the best you can hope for, and that's a lie. There is abundance waiting for those brave enough to clear the clutter from their lives. There is love, loyalty, and genuine connection waiting on the other side of self-respect. But it requires courage. It requires saying goodbye to almost relationships, to inconsistent people, to half-hearted efforts. It requires walking away even when it hurts. even when it feels like you are stepping into the unknown. Understand that the people who truly value you will rise to meet your standards. They will not be intimidated by your self-respect. They will be inspired by it. They will see it not as a challenge, but as a guiding light. They will recognize that anyone worth having must first be someone worth respecting, and the ones who get offended, who accuse you of being too much, too high maintenance, too picky, they were never meant to stay in the first place. Their departure is a blessing, not a loss. Their absence makes room for those who appreciate the rare beauty of someone who knows their own worth. Raising your standards is not about building walls. It's about building gates. Gates that only open for those who come with clean hands, clear intentions, and open hearts. Gates that close firmly, without guilt or apology, to anything that smells like games, manipulation, or half-effort. Your life is sacred ground. Your heart is precious territory. Not everyone deserves access. Choose wisely who you allow into your energy. Choose intentionally who you build with. Choose courageously to walk alone until you find those who walk with you, not against you. When you elevate your standards, you stop chasing validation outside of yourself. You become the validation. You no longer need someone to choose you to feel chosen. You no longer wait for someone to see your value, you see it first. And from that place of strength, of deep, unshakable knowing, you attract relationships, opportunities, and experiences that match the richness of who you have become. Standards are not walls that keep love out. They are bridges that lead the right love in focus, is a form of power that few people ever truly master. When you shift all your energy away from distractions, away from overthinking, away from trying to figure out why someone treated you poorly, you reclaim the greatest gift you can give yourself, control over your own mind. Energy flows where attention goes. The more you think about someone who hurt you, the more you empower them. You may not realize it in the moment, but every second spent replaying conversations, analyzing their actions, checking their social media, wondering what they're thinking, all of it keeps you emotionally tied to a situation that no longer deserves your spirit. Attention is currency. Stop spending it on bankrupt investments. The mind is an incredible force. It can either build the life you desire or trap you inside the prison of what you fear. If you continue to focus on what went wrong, on who left, on who didn't see your worth, you anchor yourself to the past. You make a home in the very pain you're trying to escape. But when you pull your focus inward, when you decide that your life is too valuable to waste on people who cannot even appreciate your presence, everything begins to change. You realize that healing is not about erasing memories. It's about creating new ones so powerful that the old ones lose their grip on you. Redirecting your focus doesn't mean you deny what happened. It means you refuse to give it the power to define you. You acknowledge the pain, you honor the lessons, and then you move forward with discipline. Healing is an act of rebellion in a world that profits off your brokenness. Every time you choose to focus on your goals, your growth, your peace, you are saying, I refuse to be a victim of my circumstances. You are saying, I am the creator of my reality, not the product of my pain. Focus is not something that will come naturally when emotions are raw. It must be built through small daily choices, repeated over and over again until your mind learns a new way of living. You must make your growth more important than your grief. You must make your future more exciting than your past is painful. The human mind cannot hold two dominating thoughts at once. If you are thinking about your goals, your healing, your next level, there is no room to simultaneously obsess over someone who failed to see your value. You are not meant to sit around waiting for someone to realize what they lost. You are meant to rise so high that by the time they do, they can't even reach you anymore. Your growth should be so undeniable, so visible, so magnetic that it speaks louder than any closure you thought you needed. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that closure comes from a conversation, an apology, an explanation. But true closure doesn't come from them. It comes from you from the moment you decide that your peace is worth more than understanding why they acted the way they did. It comes from shifting your focus entirely onto the life you are building without them. Because when you truly focus on yourself, you realize that anyone who could leave, anyone who could mistreat you, was never truly aligned with the destiny you are stepping into. Focusing on yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary, it's the highest form of self-respect. When you pour energy into becoming the best version of yourself, you naturally create distance from those who cannot match your energy. You stop trying to drag people with you who were only meant to be lessons, not lifelong partners. You stop grieving doors that closed because you understand that the doors were locked for your protection, not your punishment. Focus is the filter that separates the temporary from the timeless. It reveals who is meant to stand beside you in the future you are designing. You must become obsessed with your own evolution. Wake up every morning with a mind filled with visions of the person you are becoming, not the pain you are leaving behind. Spend your days building skills, chasing dreams, cultivating peace. Celebrate every small win, every moment of discipline, every act of self-love. Channel every ounce of energy you once gave to overthinking and redirect it toward constructing a life so full, so rich, so radiant that the past seems like a distant memory, irrelevant to the person you have become. The mind, like a muscle, grows stronger with repetition. The more you focus on yourself, the easier it becomes. What once felt difficult becomes automatic. What once felt like sacrifice begins to feel like freedom. You are not meant to sit around hoping someone regrets losing you. You are meant to become so focused, so committed to your journey, that regret becomes their burden, not yours. Emotional detachment is not about becoming cold, bitter, or indifferent to life. It's about reclaiming your power from the things and people you once allowed to control your emotions. It is the art of being deeply present, of experiencing life fully, but without becoming enslaved by the highs or the lows. When you master detachment, you are no longer tossed around by every wave of disappointment, every inconsistency, every broken promise. You learn to observe without absorbing. You learn to witness behavior without making it a reflection of your worth. You learn to stand tall in the face of chaos, unmoved, unshaken, and untouchable. Detachment is a muscle that must be trained daily. It begins with understanding that not everything deserves a reaction. Not every message needs a response. Not every absence needs an explanation. Not every loss is your responsibility to fix. Emotional maturity is recognizing that silence can be more powerful than 1,000 words. Walking away can be louder than staying and arguing. Protecting your peace is more important than winning an argument that would only drain your spirit. Detachment teaches you that you are not in control of what others do, but you are always in control of how you respond. When you emotionally detach from someone who has wronged you, you strip away their ability to continue to hurt you. Their actions no longer reach deep into your heart. They bounce off the armor you have built from self-respect and wisdom. You stop needing closure, validation, revenge, or understanding. You realize that closure isn't something they can give you, it's something you choose for yourself the moment you decide you deserve better. You no longer wait for them to realize your value because you have already realized it for yourself. You no longer beg for clarity because you have created your own peace. Detachment does not mean you don't care. It means you care about yourself enough to protect your energy. It means you choose to invest your emotions where they are valued, where they are nurtured, where they are reciprocated. It means you have learned the hard truth that love without respect is not love at all. It is manipulation, it is control, it is illusion, and you are no longer available for anything less than what nourishes your soul. Detachment frees you from chasing after people who were never equipped to handle the depth of your heart in the first place. Mastering detachment also means understanding that not every loss is a loss. Sometimes it is a divine intervention. Sometimes it is protection disguised as rejection. When someone exits your life, instead of collapsing into despair, you stand rooted in the belief that what is meant for you will never require you to betray yourself to keep it. You trust that the universe is aligning people, situations, and opportunities in ways that you cannot yet see. You release the need to force outcomes, to beg for love, to cling to what is falling away. You surrender, not because you are weak, but because you are wise enough to know that true strength lies in letting go of what no longer serves you. Emotional detachment also sharpens your vision. You begin to see people clearly, not through the lens of potential, not through the fog of wishful thinking, but through the truth of their consistent actions. You no longer paint red flags white. You no longer make excuses for disrespect. You recognize that when someone shows you who they are, it's not your job to edit the story, it's your responsibility to believe them. Detachment allows you to choose wisely where you place your heart, your time, your loyalty. You no longer give away your precious energy recklessly. You reserve it for what is real, what is mutual, what is healthy. When you detach emotionally, you reclaim your joy. You realize that happiness was never meant to be outsourced to another person's validation or affection. You find peace in your own company. You discover passions, talents, and dreams that had been buried under the rubble of heartbreak and disappointment. You build a life so rich and fulfilling that anyone who wants to be part of it must meet you at the level of your peace, not pull you back into chaos. Your life becomes a sanctuary, and your energy becomes a privilege, not an entitlement. Practicing detachment is not a one-time decision, it is a daily commitment. It requires you to choose your peace over your impulses. It demands that you stay rooted in your worth even when your emotions try to drag you back into old patterns. It asks you to remember that healing is not about forgetting what happened. It is about refusing to let what happened control what happens next. Every time you choose detachment, you strengthen your boundaries, your resilience, your self-love. You remind yourself that your heart is a sacred space, and not everyone deserves access to it when you prioritize yourself. You send a silent but powerful message to the world that you are no longer available for disrespect, for half-hearted efforts, for inconsistent love. You no longer operate from a place of desperation, neediness, or fear. You operate from abundance, the deep, unshakable belief that you are complete as you are, and that anyone who wishes to share your life must bring as much to the table as you do. Prioritizing yourself is not arrogance, it is self-respect. It is the bold acknowledgement that your time, your energy, and your love are valuable commodities, not to be wasted on those who cannot appreciate them. When you make yourself the center of your own life, you stop orbiting around others. You stop making decisions based on what will make someone else stay. You stop bending, shrinking, twisting yourself into a version you think they might find more acceptable. You stop chasing validation from external sources. You become your own source. Your validation, your confidence, your joy come from within, and when that happens, no one can take it away from you. People feel it. They sense it, and ironically, the moment you truly no longer need someone to choose you is often the moment they realize they made a mistake in letting you go. When you prioritize yourself, you begin to move differently. You walk into rooms with your head held high, not because you think you're better than anyone, but because you are deeply aligned with your own worth. You make decisions based on your growth, your goals, your peace, not based on your fear of losing someone. You stop negotiating your standards. You stop tolerating inconsistent behavior just because your heart has history with someone. You recognize that love is not proven by how much pain you're willing to endure. Love is proven by how much peace you're willing to protect. The truth is, when you prioritize yourself, you change the dynamic completely. People who once took you for granted suddenly realize that you are not waiting for them to get it right. You are not available for breadcrumbs. You are not impressed by shallow gestures. You are busy building a life that excites you, fulfills you, nurtures you, and that realization stirs regret in those who thought they could come and go as they pleased. They realize that the door they once walked through without effort now requires a key they no longer have. Prioritizing yourself means you become highly selective about who gets access to you, not from a place of bitterness, but from a place of wisdom. You understand that not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. You understand that proximity to you is a privilege, not a right. You no longer entertain confusion. You no longer argue for your worth. You no longer overextend yourself to be seen, chosen, or kept. You simply align yourself with people, places, and opportunities that recognize your value without you having to explain it. You begin to operate with an inner calm, an inner knowing. You are not in a rush. You are not desperate. You are not trying to prove anything to anyone. You are too busy watering your own garden to worry about who didn't appreciate your flowers before. You realize that the love you were waiting for from others had to start within you first. You realize that your healing was never going to come from their apology. It was always going to come from your decision to stop betraying yourself for the sake of temporary companionship. Prioritizing yourself also means learning to say no without guilt, without apology, without explanation. It means honoring your intuition when something doesn't feel right. It means walking away from anything that disrupts your peace, no matter how much your heart wants to stay. It means choosing discipline over impulse, choosing long-term peace over short-term comfort. It means betting on yourself, even when no one else sees your vision. It means becoming so committed to your own growth that the idea of shrinking back to fit into someone else's small world becomes laughable. As you prioritize yourself, you naturally elevate your standards. You raise the bar on how you expect to be treated. You raise the bar on the energy you allow around you. You raise the bar on the conversations you entertain, the relationships you nurture, the environments you immerse yourself in. You begin to understand that you are not losing anything by letting go of what no longer fits your future. You are making space for something greater, something richer, something aligned with the highest version of yourself. The most beautiful thing about prioritizing yourself is that it frees you. You are no longer chained to the opinions, actions, or decisions of others. You are no longer emotionally bankrupt, waiting for someone else to deposit worth into your account. You become your own source of abundance, your own source of joy, your own source of peace. And as you continue to rise, those who once overlooked you will feel the sting of their choices, not because you sought revenge, but because you chose yourself so powerfully that your absence became louder than your presence ever was.